good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I'll just share my screen. Before we begin, can I just get a roll call like any product managers or product owners or anybody in the product line currently in this call? Or is there any like business analyst or adjacent role related to business analysis, product management over here?
Yeah, hi Sumit,
Yes,
it's
I am the senior
Aditya this
developer.
side.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm into
okay,
the business analyst role. Uh,
great.
Overall, I have around 13 years of experience, but as a business analyst, it's around 5 years.
Great, great, great. Okay. I guess also Bismoy, right? You also, I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, yeah. So actually, just to share, I also started out as a business analyst in my career and then moved to product management. So yeah, it's one of the topics we'll talk about in terms of how you can get into product management. So we'll start with the presentation today. Obviously, like Rupak said, product management over the last decade or so has gained prominence, with the rise of digitization, and you have so many software products and services at your fingertips. Plus, with rising incomes of the middle class, upper middle class, there's been more sort of price elasticity, more need for services, and people have lots of lifestyle changes as well. So this has led to lots of the products you see, many of the processes or services that were previously offline, like let's say getting your clothes ironed or washing your clothes or getting a haircut, those kinds of things which were like 10, 20 years ago entirely offline, nobody thought of productizing them. Those are currently products today, right? So that has led to an increased surge or need for professionals, both new professionals and working professionals who understand the space in terms of how to design and build good products, right? So we'll obviously look at in terms of today as a career perspective how product management is. It's obviously going rapid change along with with recent trends like AI and all. So we'll look at see and try and understand how what the role is, what are the things we are supposed to do, and in terms of what the current landscape is, right? So let's start by first understanding what exactly the role is, right? Just to have a high understanding of maybe people who are not familiar with product management, right? So product managers essentially they lie at an intersection of three business functions which essentially go to building products, right? You have the business side of things, which decides the financial sides, your high level vision, the business goals for an organization or product organization to exist. And of course, to build those products which can achieve those business goals, you need engineering functions, right? Which can build those products, software products, hardware products, whatever you want to call it. And then there are adjacent functions like DevOps, QA, and everything, which are involved in building products, right? And also there's designing of products, right? So when you talk about building products for users, these users who are previously not engaging with maybe basically the digital economy, but now using different services and different products, then there's a need of UX designers who basically try and design products which resonates with users, right? So you as a product manager, or if you become a product manager, product owner, you will essentially work with these primary functions to build and design products that eventually meet consumer needs, right? Now, this is not saying that these are just your three touch points. You will be interacting with sales, marketing, finance, other functions, all of these which contribute to build good products, but these would be your core intersection, right? So right off the bat, product management is sort of at the crux of building great products, right? And if that is something that excites you in terms of solving problems for users, product management is a really good gateway because you get to have the leverage to interact with the stakeholders or the users or the internal teams that are needed to build good products, right? So when you look at some career benefits like of becoming a PM or joining a PM, the first and most important, I would say, is the intellectual stimulation or the intellectual rewards that you get while building products, right? The reason for this is because, like I said, businesses are changing, the landscapes are changing, technologies are changing. Okay, Abdullah, I think so. Do you have a question? Your chat. Do you have a question, Abdullah? Okay. Hey, Abdullah. Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah. So, Abdullah, we're just basically starting with what product management is. We just saw it's an intersection of three different roles. And in terms of the career benefits, once you join a PM, which is not present in many other roles, in many other tech roles, I would say one is the first, the intellectual stimulation or the satisfaction that you get from solving users' problems, right? So since you have the leverage, since you have the ability to define roadmaps, define your backlogs, and to identify the customer needs that you need to solve, the way you want to solve them, this gives you a lot of satisfaction in terms of, okay, you had a problem, you investigated it, you build a product, you talk to the same users who eventually use your product, and then they tell you how well it is working for them or the benefits that you get from them. That entire loop, that entire feedback loop is really rewarding, as a product manager. Obviously, high leverage and impact because as a product manager, like I said, right, the benefit or the impact that you can have as a product manager in terms of solving user needs, getting value out of them, and also impacting the business bottom line, right? Like with the transactions or the users, that the money that they spend for the products and services you have, the subscriptions that they get, right? So the impact you have on this entire value chain, in this entire flywheel, is really disproportionate compared to other functions in tech, right? For engineering, no matter how good engineer you are, you'll be obviously writing code for specific functions. Maybe it might be multiple modules, multiple features and everything, but essentially you're just writing code, right? Same goes for QA, you're testing that particular point of code. UX also, you're designing particular prototypes and designs, right? But as product owners or product managers, you essentially get to deliver that value, define what the value statement is or the problem statement is, deliver that value to the users, and you get the job satisfaction of actually getting the benefit. Okay, transcriptions, is it? Let me try and see. We are recording this. I'm not sure whether transcription is on, Abdullah. So I think so. If it is not live for you, maybe after the recording you will get it. Or I think so you can turn it on from your side also. I'm not very familiar with Teams. I don't use it much in my job, but I think so there should be an option where you could turn on transcription at your end, and you should get the subtitles, I think.
Yes, Abdullah, you have to turn on the captions. It is on the more options. Once you click on more, you would be able to see the option of captions. You switch it on, you will get the transcript there. Thank you, Sumit.
Okay. I've turned it on, but I'm not sure whether the language. I think so. You need to change the language, right, Rana? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so now going ahead in terms of the third point. So like I talked about, it's basically an intersection of tech, business, UX. What this means is that you get multiple different perspectives in terms of how products made, right? It's not just about building products, it's also designing the products, understanding how users association or solutions or the experience needs to be with the products, right? So you get lots of knowledge in terms of how tech products are built, the tech that goes behind it, the different infrastructure, architectural considerations, trade-offs that goes into building a product. So you get lots of cross-functional knowledge. Um, okay. And also at the same time, design skills, working with designers to build and design good UI, UX products, which essentially resonate with your users. So what happens is, as a product manager, as you get more and more experience, you sort of start talking their language, talking languages of designers, engineers, and you essentially start getting a bigger and bigger seat in conversations that they have within themselves, right? So that doesn't mean you go and influence in terms of what they need to build or what they need to decide, but you can be part of those trade-off discussions, those design discussions, those architectural discussions, and offer your input, be the voice of the customer, which none of these stakeholders would have, being a representative of the user, their problems, so that when these products are getting built and designs are getting created, the user is at the center of it, right? So that is really satisfying in terms of being able to drive the user's input, the user's viewpoint, their needs into building those products, right? Autonomy and ownership, this is really important, I think so, when you are building products and solving problems. Instead of good product companies would give product managers or owners the autonomy in terms of building products the way they want. They would essentially be in charge of their product outcomes rather than handing them over a backlog or a roadmap that they would essentially need to execute. Those are typically there more present like in India also with with the service-based economy that we have in the service-based ITS companies that we have. So we have this, okay, you already have a statement of work or a backlog or a feature list that you need to deliver on. But good product companies, if you get to work with them, essentially what they would tell you is that, okay, this is your mandate that we need to solve so and so problems, or these are the business goals or the KPIs that we are currently tracking, which are more important to us. And then it's up to you to decide what are the problems you need to discover, track on, work on. So that's a really rewarding process with autonomy. The advantage is that you don't feel sort of caged in or pigeonholed in terms of, okay, this is the way you want to work. Because you as a product manager, if you are a creative person, you would have alternate solutions, alternate ideas in terms of solving problems. But if you are mandated or instructed to do things a particular way, that can be a bit constraining for you, right? So in a good product management job, you get that autonomy, and that is not present again a lot in other functions. Like if you talk about design or even engineering, it's basically based on specific set of requirements or specific set of instructions. So that in product management, you essentially get a better, bigger leverage or bigger autonomy. Financial upside. So we look at some financial numbers in terms of how the roles compensate. But typically good product management jobs pay a lot because it's a unique skill set, especially as in when you go higher up the ladder. The domain skills that are required to understand a particular problem space, as well as the empathy skills to talk to users, understand their frame problems, to frame it in in PRDs or spec sheets, and then to talk to developers and designers to prototype and build those solutions, ideate on solutions, to build them in a way that eventually launch perfectly, talking to marketing, sales, and ensuring that launches are smooth, issues are getting solved, you iterate on those products. That is a really demanding and cross-functional job, which is why it's a unique profile. Not every, the pure product management jobs are really hard to sort of execute because it's a lot of ambiguity. You are not, you're not exactly sure what to build, how to build. It's all about discovery and figuring out as you go. So it's a very high paying job as a result because not everybody can be good product managers. Typically, what happens is you are maybe a very good listener, or maybe you're very good at designing things, but maybe you don't understand the tech side of things. Or it can be the other way around. You might come from a tech background, but you don't have that user empathy or the personal relationship or the empathy that requires basically to build good products. So getting the intersection right is very rare, which is why companies pay good money to ensure that the talent that is coming in essentially meets all this criteria. Also, founder path is in talking about career growth and all. Since lying at the intersections, you understand how products not only get designed but also built, the trade-offs that are required, and also how users value your product, what are the things that they don't like. You get a better understanding of the problem space. So with more and more knowledge, you essentially understand the problem space, solution space, your competition. You're expected to know basically the entire ecosystem of where your product lies in. So that gives you good confidence of entering yourself into the space as a founder, because that is the ultimate autonomy that you get, right? So many product roles, you won't get the autonomy, but with the founder role, you understand all the things, all the components, all the bits and pieces. So you get if you choose the founder part, you get the canvas of implementing or executing or building products the way you want, right? So and not only that, there are other parts also. There are other very fulfilling jobs in growth, marketing, customer success, which also opens up for product management, because like I said, it's a cross-functional role. It requires a bit of product management, obviously, but project management, UX design. So it sort of gives you upskills you naturally, which gives you confidence into jumping in those different roles, right? So there's lots of benefits in terms of doing a PM as such, PM job as such. Some things, of course, before you jump in PM, you need to consider. So like I said earlier, also PM is not for everybody. It requires a very specific set of skills And depending on the company and the industry you want to dive in, it requires additional domain skills, additional understanding, right? So getting the right fit is very tough. Also, there are some other considerations you want to also look. So talking about work-life balance, right? So PM job, what happens is, since you have so many stakeholders and you have so many parts where you need to liaison and understand and build products, starting with the users, you have to think very wide, but you can't go very deep because it's just one person. You have to attend lots of meetings, and there's lots of context switching, right? And we know context switching is the worst enemy of working in flow. Like if you are given a problem, you're given 8 hours that, okay, today 8 hours, you'll have no meetings. You're supposed to solve this problem or write this document or write this code. That's a really easier thing to do because you're in a mind space, you can go deeper. But unfortunately, in PMs, rarely would you get this flexibility and this, sort of even, I would say, even luxury, where you can dive into a problem too deep or a particular function. So even if you're designing or if you are vibe coding anything, you won't be able to go too deep. You will be expected to solve multiple problems, multiple things that are on fire, multiple launch campaigns, multiple meetings. So what happens is this leads to sort of burnout very quickly because your mind is in 10 different places. You don't have that flow that is required to actually solve problems. So it can feel a bit of unfulfilling. That okay, I'm doing so many things, but what is my actual impact, right? So that's something which you will struggle as and when you get more and more into product management. Another thing is, we talked about autonomy and the advantage that it gives, right? But on the other side, and frankly, looking at most of the jobs that are out there, that autonomy and that scale is rarely given to product managers. You either have to earn it, whereby constantly delivering good features, showing an impact, and then you probably are given the keys, or you'll have to go through a startup or maybe a founder path, right? So most of the jobs you will see won't give you the 100% autonomy. It won't be just like, okay, this is the KPI you need to work towards. There will always be features, lists, demands from stakeholders. And that is a part of the PM, right? Even though you have lots, even if you have autonomy, you still need to consider other stakeholder viewpoints. But what happens is that working on other people's instructions, working on other people's needs, and then essentially having different viewpoints, which might be different from your CEO or from a lead manager, that can lead to a bit of disillusionment because many of the product management books you read or the podcasts you would follow, they have a very utopian ideal way in terms of a product where product get built. Like to call it the Silicon Valley Group, SVPG way of product management, but typically that is not how actual products are built, especially in countries like India. It's a very hands-on, fragmented process where you have multiple stakeholders, multiple needs, and you don't have that voice always unless you're a very seasoned product manager, right? So that can be a little bit of decision. You might have an expectation that, okay, I will be given the entire freedom of autonomy to do the way or build features what I want, but that's rarely the case. Longevity is one other case. So what happens with tech focused role, like could talk about DevOps or coding, engineering, those kinds of roles, or even UX. You essentially get more and more skills. You understand more languages. You understand architectures better. So you can actually still contribute as and when you get more and more skilled, and you can be senior roles right up till the CTO. Rising is natural if you have that skill set, right? But in PM roles, actually displaying or showing your impact that you have made on products is very tough. Yeah, it's not very tangible, right? So think of, we have a couple of BAs over here. So think of the last features or the successful products that you built. uh, if you want the user to point and say, okay, what was, as a BA, what was your contribution? The user would not be able to see that. Even any other like internal stakeholders will not be able to see that. The PM's impact is basically very subtle, very implicit in terms of, okay, the interactions and the ideas that we need to focus on. Showcasing that in terms of code or documents or designs, that doesn't happen, right? It's all mostly communication or some sort of documentation, but essentially it's basically with the impacts that you have, right? So showcasing that is tougher. So what happens is, as and when you get more and more experience with PMs, if you want to demand a higher salary, a better promotion, or jump to a organization which offers a better salary and all, that can be an issue because showcasing your talents or showcasing the impact that you have is difficult. You might showcase that, okay, this is the product that we built or I built, which was really successful. But then there's back of the mind, the recruiter might think, okay, this is actually built by engineers. What was your benefit? What was your input into it? Right? So that is a difficult thing to show. And ageism, right? What happens is as and where, you cross 45, 50, and this happens in most roles of tech. PM is more not as immune compared to the other roles. What happens is that, okay, there's a preference for more younger people because the salary demands are better. The drive is more maybe because of they can stretch their hours or more. So PM, you need to understand that the career longevity is not as high. So you need to think of an exit path, in terms of, okay, when you reach 45, 50, what are the different roles you can do? Is it some sort of consultancy? Is it some other thing? Because getting those PM roles that you might get now, it won't be as easy because showcasing impact while demanding a higher salary, unless you have a very good portfolio and everyone knows about you and you have really good network, it's very hard to showcase that. So work on those networks, work on those showcasing your projects or whatever, and start building that portfolio so that whenever you are getting older and older, it really becomes easier for you to find that next role. Power and influence. So PM typically you won't have any direct reports, especially in the lowest parts of a PM job. You won't have any reports reporting to you. The engineering team will report to their engineering lead, who will report to the director or the CTO, right? Same goes for the UX, QX, whatever. So nobody will be reporting to you, but still it is your job to build products and to think of ideas that will essentially solve user needs, right? So you are essentially directing the backlog, the roadmaps, without actually having the ability or the power to say to the developer that this is what you need to do. So leading that teams, ensuring that right products are built is a science as well as art. So it's basically reading through data, reading through anecdotes, and having good communication skills, having the ability to rally a team, align different stakeholders, even though if they don't agree with the roadmaps or the features you want to build, is a skill. But it takes lots of toll on you because it's a slow process. The stakeholders changing, people come in, come out. You might be changing teams. So building that level of trust where they trust your ideas, your judgment takes a lot of time, right? So leading by not by power but by influencing through means is a laborious process, and it again can lead to a bit of sort of burnout, and it also can lead lots of effort into that. And we talked about exit opportunities, of course. Like, keep in mind, be always ready for exit opportunities. There might be a stage in your career where you don't want to be a product manager anymore. So what adjacent roles you are available for you, what can be done, always be ready for that, right? So these are the considerations when you get into product management. It's not all rosy. No role is always very rosy. There are some things which you need to consider and be sure that, okay, you're in this for the long haul and you have these skill sets and you have the intuition and the empathy and the different skills that you need to build with products. Yeah. So so we talked about some benefits. We looked at some certain things you need to be aware of. Let's look at certain salary trends. So financial things is what we talked about, financial upside, right? So one of the good things, and this is not only just product management, other tech roles also, is that product managers, as and with increasing number of products, with increasing competition, there are good paying jobs if you look at the right place. So this is some data I collated using Levels FI. You can go through the site and it'll give you all our data, right? So example, if you look at an average product management or product owner role, basically a role in product across different levels, be it senior levels or entry levels. An average of 50 lakhs is what is currently in a city like Bangalore, which is the highest in India. In Mumbai, the median is around 45 lakhs. But if you manage to get the really top jobs like the Googles or the Ubers or even really good companies in like Intuit and all, you can command around 1 crore or even 90 lakhs salary per annum. In terms of if you really have those skills, if you have that work experience, if you have the network, and you can crack into the top jobs, it's really rewarding, right? Mumbai, I've just put Mumbai as this is the second rank. So this also is around 45 lakhs across, like I said, all senior on an average 45 lakhs. 95 lakhs, it is up to 95 lakhs for the 90th percentile. So this is basically the top jobs, the top 10% of jobs in terms of pay. When you talk about US, it's around $225,000 for average median across all levels, across all jobs, and for the 10% top jobs, it's around 433,000. Going back to entry level jobs. Sorry, didn't understand. Abdul, what are we trying to say? Can you share this presentation PPT with as? So are you talking about the presentation after this call? I will share this presentation after the call. Hope that answers the question.
The recording of the this webinar would be sent to all registered people, so not to worry.
Yeah. Yeah. So for entry level jobs in a city like Bangalore, it's around 14 lakhs for the median, across like the 50% of pay jobs. And if you again crack a very good job at an entry level, like from a very good B school or a very good showcasing of networks, you can crack around 27 or 28 lakhs. Same goes for Mumbai. It's around lesser, obviously, around 10 lakhs for the median and 25 lakhs percentile. And then entry level for US roughly starts at around 115,000 as a median, and the top entry level jobs might go as far as $200,000 per annum. And then we talk about senior roles. So the previous one was the entry level jobs. So these are the senior level jobs. So like once you get 6, 7, 8 plus years of work experience, obviously select jobs get opened for you. And in a city like Bangalore, the median for such jobs is around 62 lakhs. And the 90th percentile, the top jobs is around 1.3 crores. For Mumbai, it's around 55 lakhs for the median and 1.2, should be crore actually, 1.2 crore for 90th percentile. Same goes for like for country like US, 263,000 is the median, and then it can go as high as almost 500,000. I see a question. Rahul, do you have a question?
Yeah,
See your
I have.
hands raised.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, thank you for informing us about the product manager roles responsibilities. But I have a question. Like, say, I am already a BA transitioned into a product manager role in a bank. Now, if a person like me want to switch industry, what is the scope? So I want to move to say software industries or consulting. So what is the scope, and in your experience, is that even possible?
Sure. So we'll talk about in the presentation, but yes, because many products or many industries require domain skills more than the functional or general skills that a PM brings, right? So PM skills are easily transferable, most of them, not the hard skills, but most of the soft skills that you learn in your job, in other industries, other jobs, they are transferable to PMs. So that's a good way where you can learn about PM, plus some skills can be trained into you. But domain skills is something obviously you can't gain working in multiple industries, right? So industries like BFSI, or like let's say I worked in hotels and travel industry, I worked in media as well. So many of the top level jobs or the mid to top level jobs require lots of domain experience. The entry level jobs, not as much, but at least if you are trying to get into those industries with medium and a higher position, you would require some certain of domain experience. So either you start from scratch over there, or you come with lot of generalist experience as a PM, and then you can switch industries as a BA or a PM, and then you can switch to other industries. You won't obviously get the same mapping maybe in terms of the level or the designation. The compensation would obviously be as per the designation you get over there. Typically, it would be more because they would obviously consider your job experience, but you would probably have to start at a lower level if you're looking at a pure product management profile as such. So switches are definitely possible, right? I mean, especially for industries which require their domain experience. If it's a very common, a very popular industry where you have lots of professionals, maybe your bargaining power is lesser as a domain expert. But there are niches, like if you look at airlines, for example, or if you look at many of these SaaS industries which are coming in, AI technology leaders, these are lots of emerging fields which require or the supply is not as high as the demand. Rather, the demand is much more higher compared to the supply. Does that answer your question? I guess Rahul was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just quickly wanted to show this. So this is levels FI. You can go this. You can go through even Glassdoor. They would have similar numbers. Just one thing to keep in mind in levels FI is that okay, Gaurav, you have a question?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but my question is on the doubt where two things are not clear to me, which is one is product manager, one is project manager. Can you help me with that?
So project management is a totally different role. There is a bit of overlap. So project management is more about understanding the resources, the blockers, or executing a project or a timed initiative, right? So you have a start date, end date, you have resources that are going to work into it. You as a project manager would essentially work with those resources, ensuring the resourcing is right, any blockers are getting solved, the reports, alerts, updates, which needs to go to different stakeholders, management, whoever, customers, those are getting done a lot. So it's more about the process in which the project is executed. So it's more of the how and the when. Product management is basically the why part of it and the what part of it. Like, what is the project? What is the, if you look at product as a time initiative, which it rarely is, but even if you look at from a project lens, essentially what you are building as part of the project, why are you building it? And what needs to go into that is essentially the product management aspect of it. Typically, you would have an overlap, like pure product management jobs. Still, you would have a bit of project management, because if you have that autonomy that you generally have, you would still obviously need you'd obviously expect accountability from this person. So, ensuring that everyone is kept up to date, the resourcing is fine, maybe being involved in recruiting and all. So there are some functions which you have to do. Keeping the plans and the milestone plans and the updates live is really important, because in products, teams like marketing, sales would depend on you, right? Because depending on the roadmaps when you deliver, marketing, sales would start preparing the collateral, training sales staff, creating demos, updating websites. So you need to have some PM skill, project management skills, to sort of coordinate with such stakeholders and ensure that you have a milestone plan and you have certain project plans running. But it's not like 100% kind of thing, because project management is also different and product management is also different. But in really large organizations, you would find both roles. So you would have one person typically just looking at project management, a person looking at typically just the product management part, and they would work together. So you'd still have that cross pollination requirement, cross functional. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. On a continuation note, I'm recently starting BA. I'm getting certified, and then I'll start the BA role, hopefully. Looking at the future, what would be the right path to go from BA to either project or product management? How to decide that?
See, there's no right path, I would say. It really depends on your current experience and the type of roles you want to get into. Obviously, one common factor is that the more and more experience you get, like I said, many of the skills are transferable. Like even I started as a BA, so right from understanding users, talking to users, it might be internal users, but they're still users, documenting their requirements, conducting UAT, coordinating with dev teams. There are lots of skills and functions that are common with product management. The outlook is different, but still the skills are similar. So even if you start as a BA, I would say, continue with that role, understand what the role is, see what are the transferable skills, get better in those skills as a PM, as a product role. And then depending on the organization, maybe they have junior product roles open in other teams or in your same team. Or there might be also APM programs, like Associate Product Manager programs, in your organizations or organizations in your city. You can apply for them, showcasing the skills that you've learned as a BA, and obviously, in sort of, I would say, yeah, showcasing the skills that, okay, this is something which you would be able to do as a product role also is part of it. I've also worked in organizations where I am the PM and then I work with a junior BA or an intermediate BA. So they would be more involved in sort of the tooling part of it or the system analysis or the system design of things, being more in the weeds with developers, making those trade-offs, writing maybe API specs, and product management in that such scenario would be more of understanding the why, talking to the users. So there might be a tandem also, right? And if you get such a role, that is also really good way to understand what your product manager is doing, understanding their roles and responsibilities, and essentially you can also become a replacement for them once they get their promotion. Something. Yeah, Rahul, you had a question? Sorry.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Sumit.
Yeah.
Actually, as you have shared the pathway from being business analyst to a product management
Mhm.
into product management, now my question is, the role of business analyst is related to the technical infrastructure and the tech part of any product or the service, whereas the product management is more of a consumer facing role where you need understanding of the customer and where and how to design the product. So
Mhm.
how do these two skills differ, and what are the common skill sets that we should uh, look forward from a BA perspective that may be useful in the product management?
So again, it depends, right? So you said that it's consumer focused and this, but like I said, right, typically it's an intersection. So you still have to know about not maybe writing code, but at least the technical trade-offs, your architecture, having that conversation with your engineering leads, and to make those decisions while building products. So there are different roles like even technical product managers. So TPMs, you might have heard of them. So they are essentially they are part of, and this is very popular in Amazon, for example. So in Amazon, the career growth is that you start as maybe an engineering analyst or a data scientist. You start building internal tooling, tools, software, and you get a very good hang of architecture and what goes into building, scalable architectures. And then you essentially become the responsible person to build, scale, deploy those solutions products across maybe AWS different geographies, or maybe basically having evolving that product. So in that case, you're a technical product manager. Uh, Since you have understanding of all those architecture and the technical design, maybe you still not involved in coding, but you still have that understanding that is expected from you. So some PMs, yes, you are not expected to know that much technical knowledge, but I would say any PM role, it's not that you're expected to code, but you have to work with developers, engineers at the end of the day, right? Especially if it's a junior role. So having that knowledge is really important. And BAs, obviously, like you said, right, work with that. So that is a very commonality thing. Where the difference lies in the outlook of it or the impact of it. In BAs, typically what your scope of work is to ensure that the requirements are captured correctly, and essentially the solutions that are being built, the validations part of it is exactly as per specifications, ensuring that everything works as per the requirements, and maybe validation testing, etc., etc. Right? In PMs, your scope is higher, where you're trying to ensure that the solutions that you're building, be it with your BA or performing the BA function yourself, is that they essentially drive the value that you promised or plan to deliver, right? So if your metric that you when you started was okay, increase user acquisition or increase user retention, whether that is happening or not. So your outlook is more towards your customer business, whether those goals are met. In BAs, you are ensuring just your delivery part of it is getting executed as perfectly as possible, right? But the skills are pretty much similar. Like you still need to understand tech skills. You still need to understand how products are getting built, how your software works, what are the architectural considerations. As BAs, what you can do is to improve your conversational skills or your communication skills or empathy from the users. You can work with a product manager in your organization, or essentially you need to basically talk to customers more and more. The more you talk to them, the more you understand their life, their universe, and how your solutions are impacting them. Then you'll get those skills eventually to actually become a good PM, right? So the foundation is pretty much similar. It's just the outlook is different between these two roles and the scope.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I
Okay.
have one more query regarding
Mhm.
this. So,
Mhm.
considering the job market present in India, most
Mhm.
of the IT companies do provide positions related to business analysis and technical infrastructure. where the companies provide such services to their clients. Now, when it comes to product management, are these roles only available in the in-house team of a company, or do IT companies located in India even offer such services to their clients?
There would be. So we'll come to that slide. Maybe I'll take that question when we talk about different kinds of PMs. Is that okay? So we'll talk
Okay,
about it
thank
over there, right? Yeah, I think so that will answer your question. Okay, let's have a pause on question. Let me finish the material I wanted to showcase, and then we can take questions. Yeah. So this is levels FI. You can use it yourself. So what you can do is you can search for the roles and search for the city that you are in. Let's say you are in Bangalore. You can search for that, and it will tell you the average roles. What is the salary? What is the 70th, 75% percentile, 98th percentile. Plus, you can search for companies in terms of what is your expectation. This will help you in salary negotiation. So Intuit is one of the popular companies, right? I'm not talking about Google's and what everyone knows. Like, but Intuit is a popular product company. The reason I picked Intuit is many good product leaders or many of the product books that you read today. There are lots of the roots are there in Intuit's way of product management. And that is the company which is in Bangalore, right? So I don't see it over here, but you can search for such companies. I think so. They hasn't listed anywhere, but okay. The tag is not over here. But yeah, I think so you should explore this and you would see different kinds of salaries, and this will give you an idea of it, right? Plus, you can also look at what are the different levels, like for particular role, what are the expected salaries in your particular company and all. This will be a good idea of applying. You'll also actually see job listings over here, for example. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. So, like you have established financially, in India and across the globe, it's a lucrative career, especially if you don't have that tech background. Maybe you have an MBA background, you're not that much into tech. It's a good career path. But still, like I said, you still need to have a conversational understanding when you're talking to your EMs. And okay, we are building this feature. This is the EM says this is the batch we need to execute, or this is an API call. You need to understand what that does. You don't have to actually understand the inner workings, but should that be done today? Should it be done every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, yearly, monthly, whatever? Those kinds of decisions you need to be part of, right? So that is still part of product management. Okay, let's look at PM career growth, right? As you grow as a PM, you will have more and more responsibility, plus your nature of work changes, right? So in this slide, we have the bottom rung, which is your junior level on APM roles, where it will be more of operational focus. So here you're looking at the more day-to-day part of building products, right? Obviously we know that products are built in different methodologies. In agile methodologies, one of the popular one is Scrum. So in Scrum, you have your daily stand-ups, you will have your different ceremonies like sprint planning, retrospective, demos, those kinds of things, right? So you'll be part of those different ceremonies, those different milestones, those events, to ensure that the backlog is updated, it's refined properly, the acceptance criteria is captured properly, the details are there, those kinds of things, right? So things like writing user stories, sprint planning, acceptance testing, reviewing user feedback based on the features or increments that you do is typical what you will start off as a product owner, right? So product owner is what is typically you will find in India as these jobs. Product management actually is all of this, like you call it product owner or whatever. So product owner more, you can call it more like a scrum role, and product management is the title of the job. Yeah. As and when you get more and more experience, you'll go into more of a tactical focus. So this you'll start on focusing on the what in terms of okay, what features do we need build next? So you'll start prioritizing features. You'll define what those features are. You will have lots of more stakeholder management to understand their input, the things that the company needs to focus on or your division needs to focus on. You'll be involved more and more in user interviews, understanding pain problems to come up with ideas or solutions. And again, like I said, prioritizing them based on what is important to stakeholders, what is important to business, and you start doing it. So it's more of a monthly outlook rather than the day-to-day kind of things, right? And as and when you become like a senior role or a principal role, you'll start looking at more strategic kinds of things. So understanding the why, like why does your product exist? What is the core value proposition that the product is expected to deliver? What are the pain problems currently? What are the metrics that we are tracking? Where are the things very lagging? What is the competition doing? The entire landscape of the market, understanding that entire thing, and then defining and directing different teams, not only the delivery teams, but even marketing, sales, the entire product function that, okay, this is what we need to focus on. These are the metrics that are important, right? So basically defining the product vision, developing the long-term roadmaps, sorry, setting the OKRs or the goals on the metrics, market analysis, that is part of the strategic part of a PM. And like I said, this happens typically quarter-wise or half-yearly wise, depending on the nature of the industry, nature of the product, size of the company, right? So this is as and when you get more and more focus. So it's rewarding, like we can see as a PM, that you'll get more and more impact. We talked about disproportionate impact. You might become a very senior EVM, or you might become a CTO of a company, but it's still about building software products only or delivering code. But as a PM, you essentially get to drive business impact as well as user value. So that's a really fulfilling job in that way, right? Now let's look at two tracks which are really popular in PMs. Again, this is typical product management company, good company. In India, you'll find more delivery related jobs, but these are the two most popular ones. So you have an IC track, which is called as individual contribution. So in this track of product management, you get promotions, but essentially you're still doing core product management work. You're not involved more in managing people, coaching them, looking at their appraisals, hiring and all. You're solving bigger and bigger problems. So junior, you might start off with just one team or one part of the team or a small backlog. But as and when you go, you get bigger part of the backlog, the bigger part of product, maybe the entire product, right? And more complex problems, right? So in the individual track, at the operational level, you'll probably get something like an associate product manager, associate product owner, or a junior product owner, right? Every organization has it called differently, which is very hard to standardize, but you can look at these roles. Then as and when you get higher, you get into the product manager role, right? So this is more about solving specific problems or hitting certain target metrics for your product. As and when you have demonstrated your skills in your organizations, or if you want to switch to other organizations, you'll have to establish that, okay, you are a PM who can lead a team or multiple teams, works which are involved in multiple different work streams, mentor junior PMs, help them, reach their goals. Those kinds of skills are required as and when. Then you go further on, you start going into the strategic space, where you probably have something called a staff product manager, which is solving really critical problems or unlocking new business opportunities, understanding what your product means in this space of AI, looking at competitions, the ways that they can disrupt you, the current disruptions that are happening. So for example, I worked in a travel industry during COVID, and then all the hotel bookings, everything dropped, right? Like, so then during that point of time, what are you supposed to do? What are the different strategies we can pursue? What is our competition doing? What are the legal frameworks? What is regulation saying? All of that understanding and making those decisions would be something as a staff product manager you would make. And then principal product manager is sort of the de facto IC role product management, who understand your product deeply, who understand the architectures, the frameworks, the market, the competition, and they get to decide or set the vision of your product. What is your product going to look in the next 2 years, 3 years? They will be closely working with leadership team, including the CEO, to define the product. In many small organizations, the CEO would be the principal product manager, but eventually they would also, maybe once they create a product function, they would create a principal or a staff product management role, which will be tasked with this role. So these two bands, which you see, these are progress trackers or percentage bars, is essentially showing you the IC focus versus management focus. The second track is the management track. So you can see initially you have purely IC focus, no management focus. But as and when you go up in the IC track, it will be primarily still an IC individual contributor, but there will be still managerial, some functions expected from you. Now, if you want to switch to a management side of things, the first thing is you can't directly become a manager, right? As a junior level, you need to showcase your skill sets or the impact that you've made, right? So a very popular way in organizations, how they do that is, once you're a seasoned product manager or senior product manager, there is something called as a group product manager, or in some companies you might also see as a lead product manager, where it's a hybrid of the two. So it's IC work as well as ensuring that the management side of things ensuring the process in the way products are getting built, people are getting hired, who is working on what, that is part of the responsibility that is added to you. And if you plan to go to the management track, then you'll probably start with the director of product, where you're managing the entire one product lines, the process, the people, recruiting them, coaching them based on the experience that you have, understanding your products more and more is part of director. Then you'll be the VP, head of product, where you're solving more and more product. You're essentially performing the same role as director of product, but at a higher level or at a more broader level of your company. And then eventually stops with the chief product officer, who is part of the executive management leadership team, along with the CEO, CTO, CIOs, CCO, etc., where they essentially define leadership decisions, drive product outcomes, define investment strategies, what to build, what to invest in. All those decisions you get to define as a CVP of a company. Yeah, but keep in mind that you won't be able to directly switch into the managerial track. It depends, like, what resonates with you. Do you like solving problems more, or do you like coaching people more and handling people, and you are more interested in how products are built, the process behind it? Or are you more interested in solving user problems, getting their satisfaction, getting more into product management work, getting into the weeds? Then IC track is for you. Else, if you want to coach, you want to have a bigger impact, you want to be more on the forefront of things, then management track is for you. Okay. So talking about the adjacent roles, right? We talked about exit strategies during product management. There are also entry strategies, like how do you get into a PM role? So one thing which you'll realize or might have realized already is that building products is not a sole responsibility. It's not a two responsibility, 2-man, 3-man. It's entire teams. So there's a popular saying, right? It takes a village to build a product. What that means is that you have different functions, different people who are involved in the product. So if you map purely from the product function, the different stakeholders or the roles that are involved in product management across the different stages of SDLC, it would look something like this, right? So starting with the idea stage where you're defining or deciding what to build, you would work with your PMM, which is your product marketing manager, right? Based on the usage, the engagement metrics, the marketing functions, the retention analytics, those kinds of things, as well as your things like the growth hacking metrics that you need to do, the growth hacking strategies, understanding what can be done in such space, working with UX researchers to understand current user problems, current design problems of the product analysts to understand the metrics, building dashboards, right? Then when you're planning to build or deciding your roadmaps, you would work with product operations teams or product ops person to set up the tooling, set up the metrics, set up the internal documentation, the different pipelines that are needed for a product to function properly, the product team to function properly. TPMs, I talked about, like technical product managers, because this is a stage where you're making architectural decisions, scalability decisions, you're making lots of trade-off decisions. So having somebody who understands the technical side of this. So it could be an EM, but also TPMs are also sometimes tasked with this. The design phase is when you're designing, building products. So that during that time, you'll be working with UX researchers, UX designers. When you're building products, you're working with Scrum Masters, with product designers again, to ensure that the process of building products are smooth. When you launch, then it's about, again, back to product ops, ensuring that when you launch the product, the metrics and numbers that you're getting, the pipelines, the data pipelines are properly working. PMM functions because GTM strategies needs to be executed. So product marketing manager is typically ensuring user growth, GTM, executing GTM strategies. So you as a PM would work with all of these functions, and even post launch you would work with product analysts to see and set up their dashboards, customer success managers to ensure that the users or your customers are getting value from the features that you build. What are the issues that you build, right? So as a PM, you can branch into any of these roles as and when you want, based on the experience that you have. At the same time, if you are coming into business into product management, you can also come from these adjacent roles as well. So if you have good understanding of product ops, engineering, even from customer success, I personally have seen some of the best product managers coming from customer success because they work the closest with their users, the product managers. They understand the problems more, sometimes even more than the product managers themselves, which is why they get a good, unique world perception or the perspective of how the users currently are facing issues. Now talking about the specializations in PM, right? Rahul will take the questions just at the last year because I think so we don't have lots of time. So let's do this and we can take the questions. So specializations of PM. So we talked about the IC track, the management track, but if you talk about different types of PMs, due to different industries and different technologies, there are different roles in which PMs can have, right? So the most popular one is the delivery PM. Again, these are not market terms, these are terms which I gave. So there is delivery PMs, right? So delivery PMs are, I would say, the most popular roles, especially in companies like countries like India, where we have lots of service company backgrounds and lots of service companies, where you are essentially tasked with executing a backlog, managing your backlog, writing Jira tickets, unblocking developers, right? Not a very fulfilling role, not a very like I said, autonomous role in that sense. But if you can showcase your impact and if you can consistently deliver value, do your work properly, then probably you'll be given a responsibility to solve certain problems, take up certain assignments which involve a bit of product discovery, right? So that is when we can grow in the role. Data AI PM. So we all know AI is the current flavor of the month. So having an understanding of LLMs, neural networks, how agentic AI, agents work, those kinds of things, MVCs, understanding how those can help in the product management process and how products can be built, how prototypes can be built using AI PMs is a really useful thing. And as and when with time, right, you see lots and lots of roles or PMs trying to get the skills because then they can differentiate with traditional PMs who don't have these kinds of skills. Platform PMs, I think so. This is a question which you asked, I think so, Rahul. I'm not sure. So you're talking about internal tools, right? So there are internal PMs as well. So I personally currently also am a platform PM where we build platform products which are used by multiple teams, right? So for example, we build the in-house ML-based OCR machine as well as the notification system, which is going to be used by multiple products, right? So basically, it's a system, it's a software or a technology which is going to be used by multiple teams. So as a platform PM, you need to understand about the technological benefits, the trade-offs, the architecture, what are the services you have, what are the orchestration mechanisms that you have for all your services to work properly. How is the onboarding like? How can you onboard different teams, your documentation? So there's lots of work when it comes to platform PM, where internal tools are going to be used across the organization. There are also internal tools or platforms which can be paid for and sold as products. For example, Google Maps, right? If you talk about Ola, Uber, or many of these popular sites where you can Zomato, Swiggy. So they use Google Maps as a service, right? So Google Maps not only has this consumer product for us in our mobile phones, it also has a platform with where there are where there are APIs built out, and you can connect with any of these APIs to get different kinds of information, right? From what is the area pin code to the best route, A to B, where different of these products. So you as a platform PM need to understand and extrapolate what are the different features, what are the capabilities of a product, package it in a platform, and then ensure that the onboarding process is smooth. Commercial PMs or PMs, these are again similar to once you get higher and higher when you get to CVP roles or rather VP roles, you would be entrusted with a P&L of a product. And okay, this is the product and loss statement. Today, this is the profit we get. This is the loss we have. You're ensured to improve retention or get more higher revenue. So essentially, you are dealing in dollar values and you're dealing with things like right from growth hacking to understanding retention to understanding monetization models to understanding churn, those kinds of things to build better products. And growth PM, similar to PMM function, the product marketing function, this is about how do you increase user acquisition, how do you ensure that pricing is properly, ensuring your GTM strategies are executed properly. These are all parts of growth team. So you'll have different functions, not just that just one PM function common across the company. You'll find different aspects, different domains related to PM function. So as a new product manager, like if you want to get into the role, right, and you don't have any prior experience in product management or even business analyst, there are three ways I think so you can get into. One is like if you are like a fresher from college, right? If you come from a different role, you will find many companies. This is more prevalent in the West, but in India's companies run APM programs. So these are basically run as per the college curriculums, and specific times of the year where they recruit freshers. And there are APM or associate product managers where you can apply. You can search for this on websites. There is a website called as Exponent, and they publish these APM lists. You can search using LLMs as well, and this will tell you what are the current APM programs currently live, right? So if you are a fresher, wants to get into product management, you can start with this. So during this, obviously you won't have product knowledge, but you still be used, or you'll be needed to show your intellectual capacity in terms of how to solve user problems, your way of thinking, your mental models, those kinds of things. Or you can join after an MBA program with some work experience. So let's say you've been working as a technical consultant, or you're working in management consultant roles, or as a developer or whatever. If you want to get into more product, or if you want to go into the management track kind side of things, you can showcase your business acumen by joining an MBA program. And most of the top MBA colleges, or even the level 1, level 2 MBA colleges, they have campus recruitments where many product companies or companies where product roles are being recruited for come to campus, and you can join any of them. And then the mid-career pivot. So I think so, Gaurav, you were asking this, right? So where you have lots of work experience, you either are a generalist profile where you have understanding of how products get built, not lots of domain experience, or you might have pure domain experience, not lots of BA experience or a POPM experience. In either case, you can pivot to a new industry or a new domain, maybe at a lower level, same or higher compensation. But you have also obviously you have to search for those roles using different tools. So we come to the searching part of it. The best way to get a job is networking, in my personal opinion. Like if you have a good network, previous PMs you might have worked with, or your friend circle, somebody's a PM, product manager, business analyst, or make connections on LinkedIn or whatever. Try and understand what they are building, what are the products they work in. If you have a way to showcase your past projects or your impact, share your CV, showcase your responsibility, maybe then you can ask them to refer yourself to those companies, right? So it can be your past manager also, who has switched to a new company, and they've switched to a company where you see product management roles open. So you can hit up those managers and tell them, hey, I saw there was an opening in your company. Can you refer? You know how I am, you can personally vouch for me. Can you refer me to this one, etc., right? You can use job boards like LinkedIn. I'll just show you quickly after this. And you can use LLMs also. So I'll just show you 2 quick examples, and then we can take questions, right? So how do you use job boards in LinkedIn if you are a fresher, right? So I set up a job search specifically. So what happens is, if you go to your job section, there are preferences, right? And under preferences, you can set up new preferences. So I have set up preferences under job alerts, where you can create more and more. I have created one for, let's say I am somebody in Bangalore just looking for a fresher BA job. The good thing with LinkedIn search is that you can enter multiple roles in the same argument. So here I've entered product owner, or product analyst, or product intern, or APM, etc., etc. All of those different roles which I want, and putting the or, right, not and. So what happens is that this particular title is searched for across all job descriptions, not only in the title, but even in the description. Typically, if you just enter product manager, it will just search for the title, right? But if you enter these arguments, it will search for even in the job description. Let's say somebody asks role of project manager. You don't want to become a project manager, you can set an argument of not. In fact, I have also done that. So if you go to again job preferences. Okay, it's not working right now, but yeah. So there also what you can do is product manager, not project manager. So what will happen is that anywhere if the job mentions product manager in the title description, that job will be excluded. Because many times what companies do is that they want to sell project manager jobs as product management, and during interviews, then you'll figure out, or worst, when you start the job, you'll figure out, okay, this is actually a project management job. So it'll be too late. So you can filter out such jobs using these LinkedIn filters. So in the recording, you can show you, you can take it from there. So I've product owner, manager there, and then within that you can set your filters. Do you want a remote job? Do you want an on-site hybrid job? The city and everything, you can edit it. So here is, for example, where I've entered a job which is project manager, not product manager, right? Not project manager. So this will show me only those jobs which have product manager. They have no mention of project manager. Similarly, you can build your own arguments whatever you want, build your filters. You can use the all filters over here to build your custom filters, create alerts out of them, weekly alerts, daily alerts, and you'll get those alerts in your inbox and you can apply for them. Yeah. So that's one way which you can do on LinkedIn. Networking I talked about. You can also use LLMs, right? So I just saved a prompt for you. Let me just quickly open that. Yeah, so this is the prompt I have. I mean, you can don't. There's nothing special about this prompt. So you can use LLM tool. So here basically I've then create a table of companies in India. So instead of company, maybe you're living in Mumbai or in Bangalore. So let me type Bangalore, right? Where junior or associate or fresher product roles are there upon along with and show me the company link to apply, right? So that is what you want to do. And then you can get a table of this also. What you can do is, if you are aware with agentic AI, you can actually build agents which searches this for you daily or weekly, and then you can send an email to you. So you don't have to always go to an LLM and search and enter this query. You can use AI agents using Copilot or ChatGPT, or in this case, Gemini. You can build those things which can automatically give you updates, right? So you don't always are relying on LinkedIn search. Maybe some companies are not on posting on LinkedIn, right? So this will give you it. So you can see over here, as of today, this is giving me all the junior product management jobs in Bangalore, right? And you can go to any of them and then they will. So you can see in Indeed, Well Found, these are different portals where jobs are there. It's not always on LinkedIn. Right? And then you can go click on them, you'll see the detailed description. So this is an APM job in Bangalore, etc., etc. And then you can go and apply, right? So use all these methods, and this is even if you are going into mid-level or senior level, you're looking for a pay rise or a bump in role, you can tweak these tools, your search board, your search alerts, or LLM tools to get updates on that. Yeah. So that's pretty much it.